Great Tuesday afternoon to you, and welcome to our Liberty Smart Securities Got Your Back live stream edition. Ryan Rashog here, all fired up for game number 4 of the Battle of Alberta. This live stream brought to you by Liberty Smart Security. You know, if you want to protect your house, your family, your belongings, Liberty is the choice to get the job done. They use the latest technology, but they do so with ease, and they make it simple. It's one of the top of the great products and services that they have. They're the number one reviewed and referred company in Canada. It's a national company, but it's based here in Edmonton, founded by huge hockey fans. I have trusted Liberty to have my family's back for the last 6 years, and our security system is fantastic. It's a family safe, all kinds of cool technology. If you've been thinking that it's time to put in a security system, and why wouldn't you, give Liberty Smart Security a call. And if you do, 1-866-926-7233 is the number, and you use the Oilers 97 promo code. That's Oilers 97. They will hook you up with 4 free months of monitoring on your security system. I have monitoring on my security system. I'm darn glad I do, because we've had to use it multiple times. Liberty Smart Security is the company to call to keep you, your belongings, your business, your family safe. All right, we are very pleased, as we've been able to do over the last couple of weeks here, to check in with our good friend, TSN hockey insider, Pierre Lebrun, on the telephone. Monsieur Lebrun, comment ça va?
Oh, ça va bien, Ryan. I was not ready for that. Caught me off guard with a little front. Thank you.
That's all I got. So if you tried to reply with anything smart, I'd have nothing for you in return. I'm posing, totally posing.
Yeah, I'm great. Look, this is the game of the series, I think, tonight.
Yeah,
I mean, this is where we find out what this is about here.
I know it's going to be good tonight, buddy. Like it's going to be really good. These two teams, they both have a few things to prove tonight. We'll get to breaking it all down in a couple of minutes. How you feeling today, buddy? Had a nice glasses of wine on the deck last night. We enjoyed a little social time. A little fun spending some time with you away from the rink, man.
Yeah, very kind of you to have me over, and a few colleagues, and it was a wonderful evening. I feel like we figured everything out in the world.
We did.
One of those nights.
We solved a lot of problems last night, buddy. Like if only you and I had a little bit of power beyond tsn.ca and got your back. We definitely got to the of a lot of things, as your fine wine that you always so generously provide often lets us do, getting to the bottom of some things. That was some good stuff you brought over last night, man. You can come to my house anytime if you're going to bring that wine over.
I think it's the only reason I get invited to people's places back home too, but I don't know. I like to come armed, as they say.
Right on. Okay, let's get to the festivities tonight. Time to tee up tonight's game, brought to you by the Quarry Golf Course, which is now open. 27 holes of golfing awesomeness. And if you haven't ever been, I highly recommend you check it out. It's challenging for those who want to test themselves. Like, guys like myself at times, you want to really dig in a little bit. But they've got lots of different tee box options for those who play a shorter game. So it's lots of fun for the skilled golfer, for the beginning golfer. They got a great practice facility as well. A fully stocked pro shop for all your golfing needs. So scratch that itch and head out to the Quarry for a round. Okay, Pierre, I want to start with the Edmonton Oilers and the opportunity that presents itself right now. They are in the driver's seat. They have a chance to be the aggressor and to grab this opportunity, to be the Predators tonight. And I don't mean the Nashville Predators. I mean the Hunters. They haven't been great at taking advantage of this style of opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, they fell on their face when they were up 2-1 against LA, but that's a long time ago. So let's see if they've learned from that. And, the great teams in this league over the past many decades are the ones that manufacture that kind of desperation that you have to manufacture for a game like tonight. And I know people listening will say, well, what do you mean? What I mean is that your back against the wall is different than having a chance to really create some gap in their series. The two different emotions, and the great teams in this league find a way to match the desperation that Calgary has. I mean, this feels like a total defining moment for the Calgary Flames about who they are. So how did Edmonton come out and be in the same frame of mind? They've been the last 2 weeks, right? Game 6, Game 7 against LA. down 1-0 to Calgary. The last 2 games that felt like, like they've been under duress and they've responded. Not under duress now. They're up 2-1. They're on home ice tonight. But can you keep your foot on the pedal here? And then that's what I'm curious about, because that will be an evolution, a step for this Connor McDavid group here that we've not seen before, if they can do that.
Yeah, they've kind of proven, Pierre, that, when their backs are against the wall, as you said, with their season on the line, I mean, there was a desperation that came out in this hockey team. It first came out in their captain. So we're seeing Connor McDavid 2.0 a lot of ways right now. I didn't know that existed, but apparently it does. And really, it revealed itself in Game 6 against the LA Kings, when the Oilers' season was flashing before their eyes, and all the frustration and the early playoff exits and the failure and the answering the crappy questions, all those things. It just feels like McDavid said, no, we can't do that again. And he turned himself into Connor McDavid 2.0. He went supernova. But he did that as a survival instinct. And to your point, it's a much different instinct, survival versus being that predator, being the ones that recognize the other team is down and in trouble and maybe questioning themselves. They played their worst game of the playoffs, according to McDavid, in Game 4 against the LA Kings. Total missed opportunity. Then they came out the next game and failed to grasp another opportunity. The good teams, Pierre, learn their lessons on the fly. Hey, it doesn't take an early exit from the playoffs for a lesson to stick. Like Tyson Barrie said the other day, he almost feels fortunate that they learned that lesson in the last round and kind of lived to tell about it.
Right. Well, they got pushed to the back by a team that they should have beaten in less than 7 games. Let's be honest. I mean, that's no disrespect to the LA Kings, who, boy, did they ever give Edmonton all they could handle. But that was an LA Kings team missing Drew Doughty. After the Oilers, you really, were all over them in Game 3. The Oilers should have found a way to make that a 5-game series. But they survived. They win in 7. And you're right. I mean, to Tyson Barrie's point, they learned from that. But it is a different thing. Like, this game tonight, Tampa Bay Lightning, again, they're the highest standard. I get it. They're up 3-0 against Florida. They just finished the job last night. That is an acquired talent to go out in that game and feel like your season's on the line, just like Florida. You're basically trying to fool yourself into that psychological edge, right? And Tampa does that, and that's what I want to see if the Oilers can do that tonight. Because, man, I think Calgary's confidence is really shaking right now, and that doesn't mean that they won't come out and play their best game of the series. They may very well, but I do think if the Oilers can match that tonight and win this game, that might be enough to some degree to really do something to play. I think is rattled right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. Time to go to the Average Joe's sound box. Average Joe's on Baseline Road in Sherwood Park, next to Home Depot. If you're looking,
okay, we got a big freeze there on Ryan. Hang tight here, folks. We probably lost Ryan and Pierre, so hang on here, folks. We'll try to get them back. Okay, we got a big freeze there on Ryan. Hang tight here, folks. Okay, Ryan, I think you're back here. Shall we continue?
All right. Back and ready to rock and roll. Sorry, folks. Some technical difficulties. Gotta love doing a live stream. I think what happened there is I've got Pierre joining the program on my phone, and I got a call on that same phone, and the system just said, yeah, that's one too many things happening. So we're going to just go ahead and shut you right down, which is what happened. So sorry about that, folks, but we're back here with Pierre Lebrun. Pierre, I think before we got kicked there, we just heard from Connor McDavid, and you were saying we're kind of running out of ways to describe what we're watching here, hey?
It's just it's just mind blowing, really. And you know when the video game you can put in a cheat code.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what Connor McDavid is doing right now. And we've asked the Flames players 18 different ways. How do you contain McDavid? What are you trying to do? And I got to tell you, one thing that's revealing to me is we've heard a lot of different types of answers. In other words, I don't know that they have the answer. Other than really self-awareness is probably the theme that comes up the most often, about knowing when he's on the ice and trying to keep him to the outside. But boy, it's I don't know how you defend him. And the only thing the Flames have to try and hope and do is a bit of what they did in Game 1, which is if you're spending a lot of time in their zone with a more effective forecheck like in Game 1, then that keeps Connor McDavid away from having the puck on the rush and going the other way. But boy, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Daryl Sutter was interesting. Like this is a big moment for his key guys. I mean, they were really good players all year long. Did a decent job in the first round, but they're being pushed and they're being challenged by two of the best players in the world and a couple of other guys that are playing fantastic. So really, all eyes are on the likes of Gaudreau and Lindholm, Tkachuk, and their best players to find a meaningful way to return serve here. And a comment he made today, Pierre, as we go back to the Average Joe soundbox, I thought it was kind of interesting. He was asked if his best players needed to be better. That question, courtesy Mark Spector from Sportsnet. Here's an interesting response from Daryl Sutter.
If you're talking about Lindy's line, players. Well, was that who you're asking about? Sure. Yeah. Well, they were a really good regular season line for us. Well, if you go through this series, every game is like a life of its own, and series and then series becomes that. So guys play against other guys. That's what it boils down to in the end. Always, when you look at it, it's always
they were a really good regular season line. Mm-hmm. That's the part that just really stood out to me. And I know he kind of qualified it after, but that stood out to me there.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where he kind of wanted to change directions as soon as the words out of his mouth, because I think he realized he was, he was challenging the top line to find that level that they were. I mean, they were really the best 5-on-5 line in the league, in my opinion, during the regular season. And we saw a bit of that in Game 1, right? That line had a big night. But since then, they've been extremely quiet. And I think at times I've looked frustrated the last couple of games. And I can't remember if it was Tkachuk or Gaudreau. One of them tried to force a pass in the neutral zone. It got intercepted in the last game. And I looked at him as I want to do and saw really frustrated at that play. You can tell that everyone's starting to boil over. So there's no doubt he's challenging his top players to match up against Edmonton's top players. This is their moment. They have to prove that all the success they've had all year, including, a lot of Hart Trophy votes for Johnny Gaudreau, who didn't end up getting nominated in the top 3, but I guarantee you he'll end up 4th or 5th, I think, in voting. I'm guessing, anyway. Let's put it this way. He was in my top 5. But all of that means nothing. Daryl talks a lot about regular season words, and now it's playoffs. You notice that? Like he likes to talk about that, and these are subtle messages to his own team. And so, really intrigued to see what we get from Lindholm, Tkachuk, and Gaudreau tonight. I mean, they are a dynamic line, but we've not seen that the last couple.
Yeah, I agree. The other dynamic happening in the media room today, just so people know, like we go into the Edmonton. We go into the WHL visitors dressing room, do the Calgary Flames media availability. It's like they don't use the big Hall of Fame room. So it's a pretty tight room in there.
Mhm.
And so Daryl Sutter's sitting at a table doing his media availability. And the players who are up next were already in the room. They were in behind, like in the back of the dressing room, but they were not that far away. And so it was kind
behind
of
the curtain, as they say.
they were literally behind the curtain. And so Sutter, has that comment about, they were good during the regular season. And then Lindholm walking out from behind the curtain like 2 minutes later. And somebody said, were you there the whole time? And they go, yep. So they obviously heard what Daryl Sutter had to say. Now, listen, I'm sure Daryl Sutter, he'll say those things right to those guys' faces without even thinking twice. But, an interesting, like Daryl Sutter is known as kind of that, he can be that hard-ass coach. At times, short stay coach, one of those guys that rides his guys. What's your sense of his ability to push the button? Like, when you're playing well, it's all good. When it starts to go sideways, that's when, those relationships and those things, it can become interesting. So what's your sense of Sutter's command of those top players in this room?
Well, what I would say is that first of all, just take for a moment and look at Daryl Sutter's winning percentage as a coach in this league. It's ridiculous. I honestly think that gets underplayed. It's amazing, his numbers. Now, what I would also say is we're in a new era with a younger generation of players, and the thing that always intrigued me when it was announced that Daryl was taking over more than a year ago was how that style. First of all, he's been really good at adjusting his style. The guy that coached the Flames a long time ago to the 04 Cup final wasn't the same guy that coached the Kings 2 Cups in 12 and 14.
Right.
He's always updated himself, modernized himself, used on analytics, and so on. At the end of the day, he still is a tough coach, to your point. And I was curious with this group how they would react to that kind of coaching. And listen, we know what happened during the season this year. They won the division, but now it's a moment where their confidence is a little shaken. They're feeling the most pressure they've felt as a group. And how does that mesh with, with their stern coach? They see tonight. I mean, that's where the proof will tell you.
The other thing he was asked was about his goaltender and if he had been hung out to dry.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of served up this opportunity. Like when a coach gets asked that question, it's a chance for them to take a lot of pressure off their goaltender by kind of going, far too many quality chances. He could have easily said, far too many quality chances, far too many odd man rushes. We can't give them that kind of speed. We definitely need to do a better job for him. That's not what he said, Pierre. He said no.
He basically said, he didn't say this verbatim, but if you translated his reaction, he's saying we need more saves from our goalie.
Yeah, he was asked, did you hang him out to dry? And he said, no, we didn't hang him out to dry. I saw odd man rushes. I saw a lot coming at him, but Sutter was not willing to hit that pressure release valve for Markstrom in that moment.
And I followed up by asking Sutter if the poll after the second period was about sending a message to his players or was it about resting Markstrom. And he said he insisted it was about resting Markstrom, which surprised me a bit because I felt that there might be a message sent too. How poorly the front of Markstrom had played the other night. I actually think Markstrom, if there was any silver lining in a game that was really bad for the Flames, I think Markstrom had an excellent first period. And then, the dam broke, but in the second period, but man, those are complete grade A situations, all four of them, right? So I actually think he kind of, to me, in my eyes, kind of rebounded, despite the poll, if that makes any sense. Like he looked more confident in game 3 than he did in the previous 2 games.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think, what about the other players here? I mean, like Kachuk has the comment the other night that McDavid, they got one player that plays half the game. Well, that's not the case. Like Connor McDavid didn't play half the game. He played, a third of the game the other night.
Actually played his fewest.
Yeah.
He played his fewest minutes in the season.
So, I asked her, how do you think your team's doing against the rest of the guys? And he was having none of it. He just goes, well, they play 8 players and that's it. Like if you're watching the game, he was kind of, he was classic Daryl Sutter. But my point is,
but there's so Ryan, he what he's saying, and if you look at the numbers, there are 8. I think there are only 8 Oilers forwards who averaged 10 or more minutes the other night, or in the series.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
You know,
I guess the point I'm making is you've got 35 or 40 minutes of other game time where the thing can be decided. And so how do you feel your group is playing in those moments? You know, how are your third and fourth lines doing when they're out there against the Nugent Hopkins and the McLeod line? And I think there's lots of game to be had. They were supposed to have the advantage depth-wise. It was goaltending and it was depth. They're not winning the goaltending battle. And I think the last two games, the Oilers depth players have been better than the Calgary depth players, minutes aside. Those minutes matter, whatever they're playing.
Right. And that is the surprising part. Because when I was canvassing all the other executives around the league and the coaches, they all talked about Calgary's depth absolutely as a factor. And, you know, you've got a guy who has scored 30 goals in this league and Tyler Toffoli on your third line. That should be a matchup edge for the Calgary team, should it not? But it hasn't really played out that way so far at all, actually. So, you know, the Flames need to find not only their top line, find their top tier, but I think they need to take advantage of what is a perceived matchup edge in their bottom six, and that's not materialized at all.
Yeah. Do you have a sense of what's going to happen tonight? I know we don't like prognosticating. I'm not going to ask you for a score or anything, but
well, that's your domain.
Well, yeah, right. But I think part of covering a team is you kind of start to get a bit of a sense for what's going to happen, or I got to feel like this or this might happen. So I thought I had game one, and I had a decent sense of game two. I didn't know game three, but I really do feel a little befuddled about what we're going to see tonight, because I've watched this team miss the moment multiple times in this playoff year. And my instinct is I could see that happening again. But again, we got Connor McDavid just going supernova here. I just wonder if that isn't the difference. So my gut is to say McDavid will be the same and the Oilers will have a good night tonight. What do you think?
I do think that, but I also think the Flames will rise up. So I think we've got our first overtime game in the series tonight.
Oh, listen to you. 9-9 in overtime?
I think we're going to get the game where it's like they're both pushing back on each other, and I think we're going to have the best game of the series here, and I'm smelling overtime. I'm calling it right now.
Wow. All right. I will hold you to that. I know you love those prognostics. So? I don't know. I'll hit you over the head with it if you're wrong tomorrow. I won't hold you to that at all, actually. That was just a thing I said. It's going to be fun tonight, though, buddy. I look forward to it. It's been great hockey, and I've had a ton of fun working with you here this last couple of weeks. So thanks for joining us on the live stream today, and we will see you at the arena tonight.
Yeah, just one last thought for me, if you don't mind. I know you got to go, but
no. This is the interweb. The time we have is infinite, so off you go.
The one thing I was thinking about this today, because Connor McDavid was asked about the way the LA Kings defended them. And, you know, the Kings essentially played a 1-3-1, right? Sat back and really made it difficult for the Oilers to find a lot of freedom up the middle of the ice, at times anyway. And I thought about that today, and I wondered if, as the Flames were watching video to prep the series and saw that the Kings had at least some measure of success doing that, do you think they would ever adjust that way, Calgary? Because it would be a pretty... That's not who they are. That's not their identity, right? They're a hard, fast-skating, forward-checking team, and what I'm saying is, you know, the Kings did give the Oilers a hard time with that.
Yeah,
just some food for thought.
We keep hearing from from the Flames and from their players, we got to get back to playing our game, and their game is not what you just described at all. The game is what we saw in the first 10 minutes of game one. That's their game. And so,
full throttle.
Yeah, full throttle. And, you know, all kinds of puck possession, whipping it around, using their skill, relentless on the check, taking away time and space. It's amazing how far from that game they've gotten. Now, the Oilers have had a lot to do with that, because they adjusted. They made some adjustments. They started, relieving pressure, just flipping it out. They started doing a bunch of stuff to relieve that pressure. Mike Smith helps a lot, too, with his puck playing.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm wondering is there any moment tonight where the Flames do have some stretches where they're forcing turnovers in the Oilers' end, and we're seeing a bit of that again. That's what they're going to try and get to, but easier said than done. And the last thing I would say is that the Flames keep telling us about getting this series back to 5-on-5. I just don't know that we're going to see that. I think that you have to, at some point, just realize that the standard officiating is tighter, at least in this year's playoffs, and that we're still going to have penalties.
Yeah.
So I think you have to accept that if you're talking at some point.
Well, the other thing too, it's not like the Oilers' power play has been lights out. And if that power play comes alive here a little bit, Pierre, that's even a bigger swing back in the Oilers' direction.
No question. I mean, that's actually kind of a saving grace for Calgary so far, is that they haven't been lit up that way.
Yeah. Right on. Okay, thanks, my man. We'll see you at the rink tonight.
Right on. Thanks for having me on.
You bet, buddy. That was the breakdown brought to you by the Quarry Golf Course. 27 holes. Fantastic golf. If you haven't ever been, highly recommend you go and check it out. Okay, we're going to go back to the Average Joe sound box one last time here, before we wrap up the live stream, because I did ask Zach Kassian today about the Milan Lucic situation. Of course, the last game basically ended with Milan Lucic running over Mike Smith. And I know a lot of fans sort of feel like, oh, they got to do something about that, or Kassian needs to do something about that, or the Oilers need to do something about that. I don't believe they do. I think in the playoffs, you can't really worry about settling scores. Lucic is a big, tough guy that, frankly, get the better of pretty much every Oiler in a scrap. So going out there on principle and challenging him to a scrap, maybe winning, maybe losing, probably losing. I just think you're sapping some momentum from your group when you don't have to. I think it's perfectly okay if the Oilers let this lie. I think they need to play hard. I think they need to stop in Markstrom's crease. I think they need to try and establish some space around the other team's netminder. Calgary will really be trying to defend him. There'll be opportunities to draw penalties there, really at both ends of the ice. But I don't think that Zach Kassian needs to get out there and challenge Milan Lucic based on the honorable thing to do, given Lucic hitting Mike Smith. But I put the question to Kassian. Basically, this is playoffs. Is it a little different than it would have been 10 years ago or even during the regular season?
It's only been, like 10 games or so.
That was Connor. Here's Zach.
Yeah, well, you can't go near the goalie. Obviously, the score takes a lot of the shenanigans that happen out there. Obviously, we won the game. We're happy we won the game. Today's a new game. It's a big game for us. It's a big game. We took a lot of learned lessons from that LA series. We have to keep our foot on the gas. We know this is a pivotal game, and I think we need to have the right mindset going into it.
Big challenge for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Thanks so much for joining us here on the live stream. We will see tonight if the Oilers can be predators rather than always trying to be the hunted and trying to be elusive and come scrappy with their backs against the wall. They're going to try to be a team tonight that can take advantage of an opponent that is down, that they have the chance to jump on, take a huge advantage of the series. The swing tonight is absolutely massive, and it'll be fascinating to see if this Oiler team can handle success a little bit better than they did in the first round. Huge thanks to all of our sponsors here, the Liberty Smart Security live stream, our good friends at Liberty Security, the Quarry Golf Course, Average Joe's. A reminder, if you're looking for a place to watch the game or something to do today, go golf around out at the Quarry and then go to Average Joe's and watch the game. What a great afternoon and evening it would be. Listen, thanks for your subscriptions and your downloads. We appreciate it. We're having lots of fun. Tell your friends about Got Your Back and our live stream. We're going to keep it going as long as the Oilers keep it going. So download us, and we'll be there for you after each game. Look forward to Game 4 of the Battle of Alberta tonight, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Probably going to drop a full feature-sized podcast with Struddy after Game 4 tonight, and then we will talk to you from Calgary. Enjoy the game, folks. Safe, smart, have a blast.